Why do you do these terrible things?
Because I love to see those veins in your temple throb.
The first time I saw Kathleen Turner was in The Man with Two Brains. She was magnetic, charismatic, and absolutely hilarious. That presence really stayed with me. Between 1981 and 89, Kathleen Turner had an absolutely staggering run. 2 Oscar nominations, iconic roles that defined a decade, and a presence unlike anyone else. This is about celebrating that incredible peak, understanding the challenges she's faced since, and exploring what made her so unrepeatable. Let's fade to black. Kathleen Turner was born in 1954 in Springfield, Missouri, but she didn't have a typical American childhood. Her father was a foreign service officer, which meant the family lived abroad throughout her formative years. Cuba, Venezuela, Canada, London. After her father died when she was a teenager, the family returned to the States. Turner studied theatre at the University of Maryland, then moved to New York City to pursue acting seriously. She did soap operas, off-Broadway productions, whatever work she could get. But everything changed in 1981 when she auditioned for a little neo-noir thriller called Body Heat. Director Lawrence Kasdan later said he knew within 30 seconds of meeting her that she was his Mattie Walker. It wasn't just her looks, it was the voice. That voice. Deep, smoky, intelligent. It didn't just sound sultry, it conveyed thought. You believed this woman was thinking 3 steps ahead of everyone else in the room. William Hurt, her co-star, famously said that working with Kathleen Turner was like dancing with lightning. Lawrence Kasdan understood something crucial about Mattie Walker. She wasn't a femme fatale being manipulated by men or circumstances. She was the architect. She was the one running the con. And Turner played it with such intelligence that you couldn't look away. The film became a huge hit, and suddenly, Kathleen Turner was being compared to the great neo-noir actors of the 1940s. Barbara Stanwyck, Lauren Bacall, Lana Turner. At 27 years old, with her very first film role, she became a star. Here's where Kathleen Turner showed she had absolutely no vanity as a performer. The Man with Two Brains came out in 1983, and Steve Martin specifically wanted her for the role of Dolores Benedict. She played a gold-digging, manipulative, sexually aggressive woman who torments Martin's character, and she commits to the broad physical comedy completely. There's a scene where she's doing exercises that's so over-the-top and hilarious, and Turner just goes for it. She matched Steve Martin's manic energy, which is no small feat, and proved she could do comedy that wasn't just witty banter. She could be physical, ridiculous, and unafraid to look absurd. 1984 was a pivotal year that showcased Kathleen Turner's incredible range. She had 2 major releases that couldn't have been more different. First came Romancing the Stone, and Robert Zemeckis cast her in this action-adventure romantic comedy where she absolutely nailed it. This was a completely different type of role. Joan Wilder, a sheltered romance novelist who gets thrown into a real-life adventure in Colombia. Turner played her klutzy, insecure, and totally out of her depth at the beginning, then showed her transformation into someone brave and capable. Her chemistry with Michael Douglas was fantastic, and Douglas later called her fearless and game for anything. That's the key word with Turner, fearless. She threw herself into the physical comedy, the action sequences, the romance, all of it. She matched Douglas's intensity scene for scene, never playing the weak damsel. Joan Wilder finds courage, but she also finds herself, and Turner made you believe every moment of that journey. The film was a massive box office hit, and suddenly Turner wasn't just the sultry noir star, she was a romantic comedy lead, a versatile actress who could do anything. That same year, Turner also took a major risk with Ken Russell's controversial erotic thriller Crimes of Passion. She played a fashion designer who moonlights as a prostitute, and it was provocative, intense, and showed she wasn't afraid to go to dark, dangerous places, even as she was becoming a mainstream star with Romancing the Stone. The contrast between those 2 roles in the same year showed incredible range. 1985 brought 2 more significant films that cemented Turner's status as one of Hollywood's most versatile leading ladies. Prizzi's Honor, directed by legendary filmmaker John Huston, was a dark comedy about mob hitmen. Turner played Irene Walker, a contract killer opposite Jack Nicholson. This wasn't easy material. It's a tonal tightrope walk between comedy and violence, romance and betrayal. Turner navigated it perfectly and earned her first Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. Jack Nicholson praised her dangerous unpredictability as a scene partner. You never quite knew what she was going to do, which kept everyone on their toes. She brought menace and humour in equal measure, playing a character who could be charming one moment and coldly calculating the next. It showed Hollywood and audiences that she could hang with the absolute legends of cinema and more than hold her own. The sequel to Romancing the Stone, Jewel of the Nile, also came out in 1985. While sequels are tricky, this one worked largely because Turner deepened Joan Wilder's character. She brought intelligence to what could have been a simple adventure romp, and her chemistry with Douglas remained as electric as ever. Francis Ford Coppola cast Kathleen Turner in Peggy Sue Got Married in 1986, and she earned her second consecutive Oscar nomination. This time travel fantasy about a middle-aged woman who gets to relive her high school years gave Turner a chance to show real vulnerability. Peggy Sue is dealing with regret, with roads not taken, with the bittersweet ache of youth and lost possibilities. Turner made a bold choice with the voice. When Peggy Sue goes back in time, Turner played her teenage self with a higher, more innocent voice. It was divisive. Some critics loved it, others found it distracting, but it was a choice, a risk, and that was pure Kathleen Turner. Nicolas Cage, who played her husband, said, "She elevated every scene she was in." The film works because Turner found the melancholy underneath the fantasy, the sadness mixed with the humour. She never lost sight of the emotional truth of the character, even in the more fantastical elements of the film. 1988's Switching Channels was a screwball comedy remake of The Front Page. Turner played a television news reporter caught between her ex-husband editor, played by Burt Reynolds, and her new fiancé, played by Christopher Reeve. It showcased her rapid-fire comedic timing and proved she could carry a fast-paced ensemble comedy with ease. The Accidental Tourist reunited her with William Hurt, where she played Sarah Leary, his grieving, estranged wife. It was a smaller role, but emotionally complex, a woman dealing with the loss of her child and the dissolution of her marriage. Turner brought quiet pain and frustration to the character, demonstrating she could be just as powerful in quieter, more restrained performances. Then came Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where Turner provided the speaking voice for Jessica Rabbit. Even though she went uncredited, it became one of her most iconic roles. That line, "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way," is pure Turner. Amy Irving provided the singing voice, but Turner's speaking voice defined the character completely. What's remarkable is that Turner brought layers to an animated character that the animation alone couldn't convey. War of the Roses in 1989 reunited Turner with Michael Douglas for a third time, but this wasn't a romantic adventure. This was pitch-black comedy about a divorcing couple who literally tried to destroy each other. Turner de-glamorized herself, played bitter and vicious, and committed fully to the darkness of it. Director Danny DeVito created a brutal satire of marriage, and Turner didn't flinch. It was the perfect capstone to her incredible 1980s run, a decade where she could do literally anything. V.I. Warshawski in 1991 was her attempt to launch an action franchise as a female detective. It didn't work, the film flopped. She took a gamble and tried to carry an action movie. Then there's Serial Mom in 1994, her collaboration with John Waters. She plays a seemingly perfect suburban housewife who happens to be a serial killer. It's camp and outrageous, and it requires complete commitment to work. Waters later said she understood that camp requires complete commitment. You can't wink at the audience. And Turner didn't. She played Beverly Sutphin straight, which made it even funnier. She could go big while never losing the intelligence behind the performance. Moonlight and Valentino in 1995 put her in an ensemble with Whoopi Goldberg, exploring grief and friendship. A Simple Wish in 1997 was one of her last major film roles, a family film that showed she was still working, still taking on varied roles even as Hollywood was offering her fewer opportunities. When film roles became scarcer, Kathleen Turner didn't disappear. She pivoted to television and theatre, and she excelled in both. On television, she had a memorable recurring role on Friends from 2000 to 2001, playing Chandler's father. She went for it with complete abandon and looked like she was having an absolute blast. She was brilliantly funny in the role, bringing that signature Turner commitment and humour. She appeared on Californication, brought that commanding presence to the Kominsky Method in 2018 and 19, proving she still had it. Her voice remained in high demand for animation, King of the Hill, Family Guy, multiple projects that understood the power of that instrument. But theatre became her primary focus, and it makes sense. Theatre was always her first love, and it's where she could really show her fearlessness. There are no second takes on stage, it's live, raw, immediate. She played Maggie the cat in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof twice, once in 1990 and again in 2003, earning a Tony nomination for the revival. She tackled Martha in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf in 2005, one of the most demanding roles in American theatre, and earned another Tony nomination. She toured as Mrs. Robinson in The Graduate in 2002. She played a nun counselling a drug addict in the intense drama High in 2011. The stage showcased everything that made Turner special: the voice, the presence, the commitment to character, the ability to go to dark or vulnerable places emotionally. Kathleen Turner married real estate entrepreneur Jay Weiss in 1984, and they had a child together before divorcing in 2007. She kept her family life relatively private, choosing to let her work speak for itself rather than courting tabloid attention. In the late 90s, Turner was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, a painful autoimmune condition that affects the joints. It was a real challenge, physically demanding and life-altering. But she didn't let it stop her. She adapted. She kept working, and she was remarkably candid about it in her memoir. She spoke openly about the pain, about the adjustment, about finding ways to continue doing what she loved. What's striking is that she brought the same toughness to dealing with her health that she always showed on screen. She conquered the stage even when it was physically difficult. She never lost that fierce intelligence or the sharp humour. The resilience she displayed in her personal life mirrored the strength of the character she'd always played. So, what made Kathleen Turner so special? What made her so unrepeatable? She had a trifecta of qualities that almost never come together: intelligence, incredible charisma, and humour, not as separate traits but as one seamless package. Lauren Bacall had the voice and the intelligence, Barbara Stanwyck had the smarts and the strength, Marilyn Monroe had the sexuality and the comedic timing, but Kathleen Turner had all three naturally, effortlessly, all at once. Directors consistently described her the same way. She committed fully to every role, never protecting herself as a performer. Her 1980s run, 8 years of undeniable star power, 2 Oscar nominations, characters that entered the cultural consciousness, proved audiences wanted complex, multi-dimensional women on screen. That voice, that brain, that presence, charisma personified. Can you think of an actress comparable to her today? Rosamund Pike, Scarlett Johansson, they can hit those notes, but I don't know if anyone really encapsulates it quite the way Turner did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and let me know what other actors you'd like me to cover. Thanks so much for watching, and as ever, I really do look forward to seeing you all in the next one.